My name's Dylan. I'm an associate pastor here. I've been full-time on staff here for 3 years, and I absolutely love it. I didn't have any inclination to youth ministry. I got saved when I was 20. Every youth ministry thing I saw, I just thought was quirky and weird. And then when I took my position, there were two. So I was on staff here for a year running a young adults school that we had, and we were ending the school. We had I started with 3 students, grew it to 5 students. It had been here for 17 years, but it was really kind of prophetically, I feel like that wave was just kind of had washed up. And there was another wave coming, and all these youth kids in our group were just coming into youth. And our pastor said, Dylan, I'm not going to be able to keep this on staff, and I am going to hire a youth pastor. Are you willing to do it? And I asked myself these 2 questions, which I think even in any area of ministry, this is so important when we do ministry, is that I know how to preach the gospel. I know God's word. I know what the Bible says. I know how to preach it to different people, whatever. I understand God's message. I can do it to youth. And I loved them, and I cared about them. And I think that those 2 questions when you walk into ministry, to me, are some of the first and foremost things is, do you care about these kids? Are you in youth ministry because your kids are in youth ministry, or because you grew up in the church and it was just something to do? Or do you actually care? Do you actually love them and have that feeling where you're I care about these kids. I want the best for them, even at my own expense, even at my own sacrifice. Do you love them? I think that that's really the place to start, those 2 questions. And so now I've been doing youth ministry for 3 years. I love all things youth ministry. My position is an associate, and there's a bunch of overlap. I am full-time here, but the kids have my heart. They have my heart. I love them. I love watching them succeed. And so today I hope to encourage you all. I hope you can leave here with some tools and some practical stuff to be able to possibly implement, or maybe just, get your gears turning for your own ministries, but also just to be encouraged by the community that we're in this doing it together. And there's so much power in that. I'm going to skip to the end. I believe that there's a revival coming. I believe that there's a revival coming, and it's not going to be tied to a church. It's not going to be tied to an individual or even a group of individuals. It's going to be an organic, sovereign revival of God that's really we're not going to be able to pinpoint it onto this big church or this. No, it's going to come organically. And I feel us learning how to be unified, how to be together, is going to be really powerful. This event for you guys ought to be a low lift, high return event. I poured my soul into this event. I've had this vision as the 3rd year running we've done Empower. I love doing this. I love putting the pieces together, getting all the free food, coordinating with all the breakout session speakers, all the different pieces. We've grown every year, I think, organizationally, as well as how our size and so forth. But for you guys, this ought to be super low lift. You should just be able to register, come, attend, have an awesome time, that your kids will be spiritually fed. You guys will be spiritually fed, and you'll be able to walk away encouraged. And the idea, and this is actually a great segue into it, the idea, do we have enough if we're going to do both, I'd say every church grab one of these on the way out. I'll make sure every church, so we only have enough, I think, for each church group to have one flyer. And we are going to mention this event. We're going to this event that Kevin's church is hosting in Manchester. It's Manchester, right?
Yeah.
Shiloh Community Church is hosting this event. You know what it is for us? Super low lift, high return. We go there. They have a good speaker. They have good stuff going on, but I don't have to prepare. I just have to do a sign-up sheet, be a little bit diligent, get my kids to sign up, and I can go, and my kids can benefit. It's working together as churches and finding how your schedule is going to work and the things that you can engage in as a church, while not taxing yourself and feeling like you have to recreate the wheel every time is going to really benefit all of us. I don't know about you, but I get when I'm not organized, right? And I'm getting overwhelmed and there's so much going on because there's event after event and thing after thing, and I'm planning all of it. I only have so much capacity to do what I can do. But if we partner with each other in ways that are helpful, then we'll be able to all benefit. And our kids will too, because we are in New Hampshire. We're in New Hampshire right now. I know we come from around, but we're in last place as far as the most Christian states. We are literally in last place. And I think Maine and Vermont are also fighting for second to last. Mass, I think you guys are really like fourth. I think you're right there. So some people from Mass. We are in such an unchurched nation. I think about, this is just, I'm just going off the inspiration, but like David and Goliath, I think about the moment when that Goliath hit the ground and that reverberation that went out and the fear that struck the Philistines. We can only go up from here. And I feel like the way that we're going to accomplish that, think about us in this room and the other leaders who are here, and there's 150 kids that just signed that paper and registered and came in. We got 150 kids here, and these are the people that we're going to be, hopefully your groups are going to continue to grow. Hopefully we're going to see people coming and lives being changed. Hopefully they invited their unsaved friends here. It's a big push of what we want to do in this event so that they can hear the gospel and that they can be saved, that they can watch their peers. We have no adults on the main stage until Mike Tremblay at the very end is going to give a gospel presentation and a salvation call for the kids. Other than that, it's all students doing everything up on the stage. That's like kind of our heart and our purpose here is we want to empower the kids to show them that they can do it. They can start the Bible studies in their schools. They can take the charge. They can take the lead, and we can see lives change as we're playing our position. And so that's like my heart. That's kind of just the vision that I have. There's a chair right up here, Mike, if there isn't one back there.
Oh, I didn't want to sit in the front, but
you can roll it back there if you want.
No, it's good.
Anyways, that's my heart and vision. You can grab that stuff too. Did everybody get a handout, or do we need to pass any back? So the thing I'm working on here, the time to make God known. The first thing that I want to talk about today is uncommon unity. For the sake of time and discussion, I'm not going to read all these Bible verses, but they're all phenomenal. And biblical unity starts with us being unified with God. In John 17, the final priestly prayer, he says that I and the Father are one. Jesus is speaking. We are one. We are united. And I want you to be united with me. I want you to be one with me, that we can all be one together. There's amazing unity that happens in Christ. And obviously we're all from different churches, right? But we're all unified. We understand that there's only one church. There's only one bride of Christ, that we're all coming together. And it starts with you and God. That's the first union that should take place, is it's God came and died on the cross for your sins so that you could be unified with him. And that's right where it starts. Your personal walk with God, your personal devotion with God matter. That you're unified with him, you're unified with his vision and with his purpose. That's where it starts. From there, and this is super important as we're talking about ministry, your marriage matters. You being unified with your spouse matters. It's a representation of Christ in the church. That's what a marriage is supposed to be. And it is that unity. And here the thing is like, there's so many people who want to be involved in youth ministry. How many of you guys has ministry ever put stress on your marriage? How many have ever, who are married in the room, has ministry put stress on your marriage? It is incredibly stressful. A lot of times you're doing it unpaid. And a lot of times events are in the evenings when you could be spending time with your spouse or with your family. Ministry can be incredibly taxing on your marriage, and it is so important, so vitally important. Literally second to your unity with God would be your unity with your spouse, and that you are fighting in the same direction. It's so valuable. It's so valuable, and it's so important. And then third, right, we're going to be unified in our local bodies. You need to have a local church. I think I threw Hebrews is in here somewhere. But we can't neglect the local assembly. You need to be unified with the vision that your lead pastor has, unified with a local body that's gathering together. That unity is powerful. And when you're unified as a body, sometimes there's division in the body, right? Has anybody ever experienced division in the church? Has anybody ever been hurt by division in the church? This stuff happens and it's real, and that local body is your next priority, right? Then after that comes this. And I'm telling you, unity, and I'm jumping around, but in this page here, all the references are there. Unity is not natural, okay? Naturally, we're divisive, we're selfish, we want to take care of our own. Naturally, we're proud. I don't know about you guys, but I'm proud of my church culture, right? But that pride can become an idol where we think our church culture, the way that we worship, the way that we flow, the way that we order our services is better. And all of a sudden, we are now a proponent for division in the body where we're all of a sudden looking down on other churches like they don't get it. They don't worship like we do. They don't have experiences with God like we do because our church culture is superior to these other church cultures. And that is arrogance and pride, and you're completely missing the humility that is Christ when he walked on the low path. So all these things come against our unity. Naturally, we're going to try to take care of ourselves. Naturally, we're going to try to take care of our youth group. But if we can have this switch that Christ called us to and count the needs of others more important than our own. If we could look at this event, and this is like my heart for this event, we put a lot into this event, and it's cool, and don't get me wrong, like I like it, like I get a good feel off of it, like it's fun, you know what I mean, to have the energy and have the people. But this event and my heart with this is it exists for you. Huge lift for me, but my kids are not going to, like, they're going to receive just like they would if I took them to another conference. Does that make sense? Like, they're going to receive minimally compared to the work that I have put in, but I'm putting this work in because I really want to prioritize unity, and I really see that this is an area that if we band together and we come alongside one another, that's when we're going to see that revival. And like, I'm not going to take credit when your youth group grows or when like your kids get saved or have an experience with Christ, because Zeal's worship team was leading them this morning. It's not about who's who and what church name and this and that. We're one body united, and if we can humble ourselves and fight for it. It takes forgiveness because people are going to wrong each other. It requires love, but I'm telling you, this is my pitch. Unity is worth it. It's worth fighting for. We're unified with God. We ought to be unified with our spouse, and we ought to be unified with our local church body. We ought to be unified as a church. And if we want to move up from last place, y'all, and like jump onto the scene. Can you imagine the day when we were in 6th place? Like, I'm telling you, like, it seems so trivial, but New Hampshire has been the least church state in the U.S. for a long time. I'm not a stats guy, so I have no idea literally how long. But I know that like ever since I've been a Christian, I've known that the frozen chosen in northern New England. I've been a Christian now for like 15 years. I'll be 16 years in October. And it's something that, like, imagine that moment that we're in 6th place. And it's like, hoorah, here we come. Here comes the church in New Hampshire. Like, here comes the church in New England. And there's seeds of revival in this place. And it's not going to come if we isolate it. It's not. It's only going to come if we learn. Now, I understand there's theological distinctions, okay? I understand there's differences in interpretation. And these things can be complicated, and they can definitely put wrinkles in this. You know what? To me, it's worth it to have those conversations. It's worth it to build those connections. It's worth it to fight and contend for unity. And I just implore you guys, in your times of prayer, to pray for it. Pray for unity in your own personal devotional life. Pray for unity in your marriage, your pastor's marriage, the marriages of your leaders. Pray for unity to be rock solid in that area, because that's under attack. Pray for unity in your local body, because the enemy wants to come in. He wants to come in and raise up unqualified leaders like wolves to lead people astray and cause division. And there has to be strong leadership. He wants to bring disunity and division in your youth group. So how many of you guys have ever dealt with a leader who took too much initiative and like kind of overstepped their bounds? Anybody dealt with a leader that overstepped their bounds? Maybe there's somebody in this room, you've overstepped your bounds in your own position at times. It's natural, and we kind of got to figure out. I've got some strong leaders on my leadership team, and I will tell you, some of these men in particular, I have butt heads with time and again. And the ones that I've butted heads with are honestly some of my closest friends right now, because I prioritize the relationship, I prioritize the person, and now those people who are like kind of fighting me and making my job harder for me have become some of my most trusted leaders, and the ones that I know I can lean on and rely on even for an event like this that we're in today. This is like this is the biggest takeaway that I want you to have from today. We'll get to the how we get stuff for free, which is cool and all, but like, I want you guys to contend for unity in your personal prayer closets. And what it looks like is different for all of us. Us doing this event is something that we want to promote church unity. I've had churches reach out and be like, are you trying to steal people? Are you trying to steal individuals? And those are real conversations. I invited over 40 churches to this event. I mailed out, if your church probably got a mailer, I mailed out stuff, I emailed stuff, I took phone calls, and it's a real thing. Like, people are afraid that people are going to come, and that we don't want your youth kids. We don't want your youth kids. I meant to prep my team, I didn't, but I'm not worried about it. We're not inviting people to our youth group here. We're not trying to cross in that way. We're not trying to grow our ministry. That's not the heart. Our heart should be that everybody is growing where they are. If I have a student that really resonates with one of these other youth pastors and as they're on their journey, we're open-handed. We let them go. Like that's how we operate here with leaders. We trust the Spirit of God to direct our steps and contend for unity. And so I'll kind of hang my hat a little bit on that statement, but that's my heart for this event. And honestly, that's how I see us championing through to this revival that I know is coming. It's going to be by building each other up and counting the needs of others more important than your own. So that's my bit on unity. I'm gonna blast through this, and then we'll have some time to kind of discuss and talk. That was my big one. All right. This is a little bit of my philosophy of leadership, and I think is incredibly important. I have a quote here from this book, The Body Keeps the Score. Is probably it's the most influential book, non-Christian book that I have read, and how it affects ministry. We were foster parents, and that's probably why I actually read the whole book, because we were just experiencing the thick of some of the reality of trauma. Now, some of you guys may have some experience with trauma. Some of you guys might have experience with students having trauma, and in all of that picture, this generation is so anxious. They are overrun with social media. I'm 36. I'm only 36. What I was gonna say, but even so, the social media when I was a kid is not like it was today. I tell our kids that the algorithm that's AI created for social media is literally wired to grab their brains and to consume them and to completely infiltrate. Like that's what the algorithm is. The algorithm wants clicks. The algorithm wants engagement. So AI is literally targeting their heart, soul, and mind. AI wants to have their heart, soul, and mind, and they are glued to their screens. Ask your kids to do you pray an hour a day? No, I don't have time. What's your screen time? How much time are you on Instagram and Facebook? You don't have time. It's really just not even reality. Like, it's not that we don't have time to pray every day. It's that we are completely addicted and consumed by something that's trying to pull us in. They're very anxious, and a lot of them have experienced real trauma. A lot of kids nowadays, and it's, stuff's coming to the surface, this and that, but kids have been raped, kids have been sexually abused, kids have been beat, kids have been coming from really, really troubling experiences, and you never know. Never look at a kid who's smiling and happy and think, oh, that kid is fine. The thing about yelling at kids is, and I'm jumping around, this is just how I roll with it, but take these home and read these points, but the thing about yelling at kids, okay, we have I don't know if y'all were here, but we had a volunteer yell at kids this morning, and I had to pull her aside and be like, I know you're not a youth leader and you're just a volunteer here, but I am so adamant that our youth leaders never yell at kids. We don't say, come on, guys. We never say, come on, guys, all right? We never yell at them. We never demean them, even when they're rowdy. And here's the thing, is that for me, if we're yelling at kids, it's because we're ineffective leaders. We did not lead them properly, and that's why we're resorting to yelling. I wish I was this, we're adamant here. I wish I was just good at home with my own kids. I got 3 kids and one on the way, and there are times I'm like, oh, it's like I freak out, I'm just being transparent with y'all. But in youth ministry, it is so pertinent that we're not yelling. Now, here's the deal. Here's what happens when you yell at a kid. You've got the rowdy kid, right? He can handle your yells. It doesn't faze him. He's going to hear the yelling, and he's going to be like, okay, maybe he'll listen, maybe he'll obey, maybe he won't, maybe he'll push the boundaries, and then you're getting all frazzled. It's the kid in the corner that's affected by the yelling. It's the kid who came and visited the youth group. He hears you yelling at that one rowdy kid, and he's off in the corner, and all of a sudden, he has a trauma response. And when he has a trauma response, his mind shuts down. He's basically blacked out. He may now become wicked ADHD, or we may see all sorts of other symptoms. But you yelling at the one kid can handle you yelling. He's fine with you yelling at him. It's the other kids. It's the ones that aren't speaking up at all, that they hear that yelling and they are literally in shock. Their whole body and mental structure is in shock because they attach that yelling or those demeaning comments to what they have experienced, which is abuse and trauma. And then you're up there trying to speak the word, and they literally have walls sky high, and they have literally reverted. You're lucky if they keep coming. But if that's the atmosphere that you're creating in a youth group where you're yelling and trying to keep your rowdy church kids in line, you're not going to be able to effectively minister to people who have trauma. And people who have trauma, it's not just like the ones that were like, oh my gosh, that person has trauma. No, you do not know. You do not know who has experienced something, and they might look fine right here, but in your yelling, in your aggressiveness, all of a sudden, we have a lot of strong male leaders as youth leaders. We had one youth leader kind of talk to, this was years ago now, one of our girls who doesn't have a dad, and he talked to her with a firm tone and was just like, you cannot, like basically just, hey, you need to stop that, right, blah, 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 blah. Not even, not really aggressive, but very firm. And she had a complete meltdown. And it's just, she doesn't have a dad. Firm, strong male voice comes at her, and she just has no context on how to respond. And we want to minister to these people. Do you care enough? Do you love these people enough that you're willing to make some changes for that one? Now, the kid who's freaking out, it's tough to lead those kids, but that's what it requires. When I'm up on the stage preaching and kids are talking, I will just talk over them. And if it's really too rowdy, I'll be like, guys, I literally can't share my message. And I'll just leave. And then you have the good students who are like, come on. They start talking, and the students take care of it and take care of each other. And if you can raise up your students, then you don't need leaders. Now, if you have a lot of leaders, I think we have like 12 or 15 leaders. You need to train your leaders, because you're going to have somebody come in. Like we just had a volunteer today who just yelled at the kids because of coffee or something. And, she's not a youth leader, but I immediately, after I heard about it, went out and talked to her and was like, you cannot yell at kids. Like, you cannot. Like, it's not a negotiable. I don't care. Like, you cannot yell at kids. And she's a volunteer. She's not a youth leader. If something happens that requires discipline, it's like, here I am. Like, come get the pastor. If we had another kid that was overactive, we'd come get y'all. Be like, we had one of your kids. Like, if something were to happen. But we cannot yell because of that. Safety is my top priority. Creating a safe place. When I say, there's a couple of things that I'll say every single week with youth. And one, okay, not every week, but is that this is going to be a safe place. And that means if this was 2 years ago, we had our kids gossiping about each other. And like talking about one student and another student, there's some gossip going on. We have an all-student worship team. I benched the entire team. And I told them, I don't want you to invite your friends to youth group because this place isn't safe. You're not safe, and you guys need to get your act together. And that was the beginning of our summer. And had a little meeting and was just like, I wouldn't want my friends to invite here. I don't want you to invite your friends to our group because I can't believe that like this is what you're turning to. Like you're raising the church. I know you all know better, and addressing certain ones, but like you can't keep doing this. This is not gonna fly. It's not gonna work. And I do have that little bit of like I bench kids on the worship team all the time. We have a worship team. We have a standard of how you're going to act. And if you don't act that way, then you have to take a break from the worship team. And it's kind of like it is the carrot, because a lot of kids want to sing. A lot of kids want to be up on the stage. It's something that I use. But I'm able, maybe you have other areas where kids are allowed to serve and be leaders. Strip them from it. Do not let kids who are behaving in a certain way lead. And if you have leaders who are behaving inappropriately, bench them. Youth pastors in the room. Tell them to take a week off. It's that type of strong leadership that you need to set the precedent of what youth group is going to be like, and making sure that it's a safe place is a huge priority. I've had leaders. I had to sit down with a leader recently who was talking about a student's business with another student. And I was like, there's some family lines involved. And it's like, okay, family came to you with personal information, and then you shared with a student something. And it was subtle. And it was like, I understand why her circumstance, but I was like, absolutely not. Like now I have a student in my youth group, because it got around, because it always gets around. I had a student in my youth group that doesn't feel safe because a leader is talking about that. It doesn't matter what you were talking about. I have a student now who feels unsafe in my group because she knows that you were talking about her business. What do you think needs to be done? And this leader owned it, went to that student, apologized for her behavior, and then came up to me the next week, thanked me for disciplining in that way, and said that, it was a humbling experience for her to be able to grow. And this is how we grow people. We don't kick them out. We don't kick them to the curb, but we allow these examples. We have to be quick, and we have to address these things in our leadership. And if it's in us, we got to go to our leaders, go to your youth pastor, go to your lead pastor, work the chain as it's supposed to be worked, and allow these changes to take place so that we can have a safe place. Now, for me, safety is my top priority, physically and emotionally. And that's where that trauma-sensitive leadership comes in. Background checks, obviously, and here's another one that I'll touch on briefly, but allowing students with alternative views to feel safe even while we present gospel truth. I will never sacrifice the gospel truth. All right, we got so many social issues, gender, so many social issues that are going on nowadays, and we can never sacrifice the gospel truth. We cannot let boys go into the girls' bathroom because they identify as a girl. We cannot allow that. We have to draw lines in certain places, and just because somebody thinks there's something does not make it okay. And the world will say what the world will say, but we have to draw lines with certain social things. But that does not mean if somebody comes into your group and is atheist, talking about atheism, and they're there, praise God for that person. Praise God for them. Allow them to speak about what their atheist views are and present the gospel truth. We're not here to stifle anybody's voice. Now, if they start to try to lead a little coup or try to lead people to atheism, it's really not the place for that. It's a great time for a confrontational talk with that individual about what's appropriate, but you want to win those people. If people are coming to your group with different views about homosexuality or about, all the LGBTQ, all that sort of stuff, gender, all that sort of stuff, we want them. Personally, I want them there. And at the same time, I meet with our parents once a year as we start the school year. You have to assure your parents that these kids who have grown up in church, that it's going to be a safe place for them. So if you have the kids having sex and smoking weed and experimenting with all that sort of stuff coming into your youth group, which I pray for, I want those kids. I was that kid. I didn't get saved till I was 20. Nobody invited me to their youth group. That's what I tell our kids. I would have gone, probably would have been high or whatever, but it could have made a difference in my life then. I didn't get invited to church until I was 20 years old. And so I want them to invite those kids to our group. And at the same time, it still has to be a safe place. Are your leaders ready when kids are having sex in the parking lot? Are your leaders ready when they're smoking weed in the bathrooms to be able to handle those situations with grace, not yell, be appropriate? And that's the type of training and that's the type of stuff that we hope to see so that we can be prepared when those times comes and we're not fumbling and that we don't have to, say a leader handles something really poorly. We don't have to enter into discipline or whatever with a leader. So that kind of sums that up. Man, I could honestly go on for an hour. I'm going to briefly touch on this, getting out of the way, and how to get free stuff, and then we'll kind of take some discussion points and questions. The most growth I have ever seen in my youth group is when I got out of the way. And so the first step that I remember being holy, was I used to lead all of our worship. I have a bachelor's degree. My Bible degree has a focus in worship, and I love leading in worship. But when I got off the stage and I stripped all the leaders off the stage, I had a number of kids be like, oh shoot, we actually have to do this now. And they stepped up into the gap. They were just completely up there having fun, relying on me, knowing that I would carry the flow. I would make sure everything was good. As soon as I stepped off and I was like, yeah, all your peers are going to watch you, but it's on you now. It was the maturity snap was so quick. When I got out of the way, and here's another great example, is I'll be sitting in the back, and I am always so ready to preach. I'm always you give me that mic, and I will be up there. I could be up there for 2 hours. That's just in my DNA and my blood. It's I'm ready. But when I sit in the back of the room and worship comes down, and I'm oh, perfect time for me to go up and take charge. But I hear the Holy Spirit, and I feel that, just wait. And I'll just take a breath, and I'll just wait. And I'm telling you, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. Those are the moments when a student will start to speak, or another leader maybe will step up there and be oh, I just feel the Spirit. You have to get out of the way. This isn't about us, right? It's about God. And if we're in the way, if we feel we need to control every step of the way, we're getting in the way of what only God can do. I can't save anybody. I can preach a good one. I know my giftings, but I can't save anybody. It's that's the work of the Holy Spirit. And this is the most growth that I have seen is when I get out of the way. I already touched on this revival bit. When you guys are doing events, and I don't care if this is just hosting or whatever in your church, businesses want to donate and partner and be a part of stuff. When we do a car wash, we have ridiculous amount of stuff to do a car wash. Don't go to Walmart and buy soap and buy stuff to do a car wash fundraiser. Go to AutoZone and Walmart and all those other places and be like, hey, would you be willing to donate? Sometimes they're like, yeah, well, you want to host it here? And they'll literally provide you with everything and host your car wash at a public place. And it gives you an opportunity to go and witness to these businesses. Be polite, say please. There's a few businesses in our community that won't donate to churches. One donated to this event last year, and I was told because we are a church, they can't donate to us. And I was literally like, I was in shock. I literally had to I processed it a little bit with the lady, and I'm like, so you're saying because they're like, we can't donate to one church because all the churches, so we don't know whatever. And I was just like, so you donate to all sorts of businesses and things that promote whatever, but you won't donate to a single church because of what they might promote? And she was like, wow, that's an interesting way of looking at it. And I was like, yeah, it sure is. I was mind blown. But there are some that even state that. Chipotle, corporately, does not donate to churches. There are some that just don't. I know y'all like, no, actually, anyway. But yeah, go and ask your local community, because they might even have that corporate policy. Who knows who's the manager? Who knows what they can approve? Go there and ask them. I have this letter that I gave you guys. You can see the date. It's 4 days ago because I was just running around last minute. So the guy that I have usually do all of this, his mother passed away, so he's not even here for this event. But I had to pick up all the food donations. These businesses want to donate. Texas Roadhouse was like, contact us in February next year and just tell us how much. They're like, wow, short notice, we can give you food, pulled pork for 40 people. And that was their short notice, what they're giving us today, is they're providing pulled pork and stuff for 40 people. She was like, if you want, because I was like 250 or so, and we're at like 220 right now. They said that, let us know sooner and we could do a lot more. Dave's Hut Chicken is donating 150 tenders this year and a bunch of chicken bites. In years past, we've charged for this event. This is the first year we made the event free. And on part of that too, my philosophy with that is this is what our money should go for as churches, what the churches should be doing. Let's make it free for these kids. And they can just walk off the street or come from their high schools. They can register at the door and pop in here and hear the gospel and get saved. I don't want there to be a money obstacle for kids to be able to come in. So let's carry that burden as churches. I wasn't that great at trying to get donations, but the cop didn't show up this morning. They couldn't fill the position, and so we're right on budget because the Portsmouth cops are for today was gonna be $900. And I was like, dang, we're in a little bit of a pickle financially. And then the cop didn't show up, and I was like, that's. I basically had to brief. I found out this morning and briefed a little security team. But anyways, I want to allow for we have a few minutes for questions. I apologize for ranting through. The other thing I gave you guys is this is what we have all of our youth leaders sign. Just something for you to look through if you have a youth leader agreement. It has our philosophy of leadership. It has our service stuff and just kind of how we operate. And so this is what I give our leaders when they want to become a youth leader. They have to sign this and they have to understand. And I have let leaders go for breaching this contract indefinitely, and I've let leaders go permanently for behaviors and certain things that do not align. It's so much easier to let somebody go when you have something like this than being I don't like the way you handle that. When you have something like this that they signed and you're you breached it, or you lied about it, or you did this or you did that, it's really easy. It's hard emotionally, but it's very easily decision-making wise that affirmative action, that's what it's going to be because we had this in place and you are not following by our standards and our procedures. So I hope this was beneficial to you guys. I hope you can take this stuff and use it. I hope you get a bunch of free stuff for your events and just go around. Get out in the community, do stuff in the community, and ask for stuff for free. It'll come.
Wow.
Yeah.
Our youth group does a bake sale, and instead of students baking, I was like, why don't we just have all these amazing bakeries get stuff? So I just I blanketed email 30 different places in a 20-mile radius, and people are like, I remember when I was in youth group, yes. And I was like, there you go, you didn't know. And so I was like, we're having one. I got 40 whoopie pies with 4 different flavors, 4 different cake pops, just a bunch. This is our 3rd time having it. We just get different places, just comes out of the woodwork, and they're like, "Yep, we're doing it." Okay, I'm like, "Great, we'll pick it up then." And then we also do a fundraising raffle, where we have make these baskets with men's Christian theme and women's Christian theme, families and kids or whatever. And so date night, and so all that stuff is donated. I just email businesses and I say, hey, can I get a gift card to this? And they're like, yeah. And so usually our baskets are $100 to $200 worth of stuff, and most of it is donated, where it's gift cards and stuff like that. So
I would say up until this year, I've been on a zero-based budget for youth. I have to plead to get stuff.
Yeah, that's us.
We just got out of debt, so things are starting to shift, which is great. But yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, we made.
Anybody else with a question or anything? What I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna pray us out and dismiss you now, because all of your youth are gonna be coming out. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, could you just mention that the Friendsgiving thing?
This thing?
Yeah.
So if every church group can grab one of these, it's going to be on Saturday, November 8th, $10, open doors, 3 to 8 p.m. Willie Alfonso is the former chaplain for the New York Yankees. He's going to be the speaker for grades 6 through 12. Go ahead.
I'm 18 years old, and I help Kevin out with our youth group. Is there anything that you would say, other than the advice you just gave, directed towards my age group, then also B, my generation as upcoming leaders? It's okay, in addition to that, you all seem to make sure this and this, whatever it is.
So we rarely, and I mean rarely, take young single men as youth leaders.
Well, no, not as not trying to take Kevin's position, but more so just helping out.
I mean as helping out and so forth. And the reason being is there's some cute 17-year-old girl, you breach the contact, you're done. You are done as a youth leader, at least in ours. If you are texting and calling a 17-year-old girl, you're gone. And so my thing for your generation walking into leadership and wanting to work with underage individuals, it is very easy for those lines to get blurred. Now, when you're a married adult, if you're doing stuff like that, then you have a serious problem. You might not have a serious problem, but if you enter into that when you're entering into leadership, all of a sudden there's this burden on you, and there's a target on your back for the enemy to come in. And I would say purity for the 18, you young people in ministry, you guys going into college that aren't yet married, your purity is up here as far as how I look at. You're going to work with teens. Because if you're working with underage individuals, I don't care that she's 17. You had a personal phone call talking about your feelings, you're gone. You're gone. And that, I spell some of that out in the youth leader group, but that is my biggest advice towards young people walking into ministry is to be pure. You're not yet married, and so you have all those hankering emotions, feelings going on. That is the one thing that you have to keep in check, to be honest, you know what I mean? Be on guard your heart, all those pieces, because that'd be to me, that is the number one pitfall. You want to talk about, I'm as a pastor, we talk about all the local churches and stuff that's going on. And since I've been a pastor here for 4 years, there are multiple instances of impure things in leadership in churches involving youth. The reason we have this thing, and the reason why I can say that so clearly, an 18-year-old leader talks to a 17-year-old girl with a personal conversation on their phone, they're done. For one, I talk to that individual extensively about this. It's not something that I glossed over. They know if they call that person and ask about their day, they're done. I don't care if it was a platonic conversation. They know because that's our standard. And again, that might not be other youth standards, but regardless of that, this area in youth ministry is a travesty. So I would say that's for the young people, the faith students who are here and young youth leaders walking into it, that is my number one. You know what I mean? You're still looking for that person. That 17-year-old could be your wife as an 18-year-old. And it's like, you chose leadership. You chose to be in this position and uphold these standards. You got to wait. And you got to wait in so many ways. Like, you can't even develop a friendship, really, with that person. You could be a group friend, but you can't be a friend to that individual while you're a youth leader, or you will lose your ministry here. You know, I've talked with our young people, and I'm like, I don't care if you leave. You can leave youth ministry if you have feelings for an individual. You can bow out respectfully, and I won't like fault you for it. But you've got to turn it in and say, I'm not doing youth ministry. Then go pursue that person in a righteous way. But if you pursue that person while you're wearing this leader badge, you are done. It's like a huge breach in my So anyways, that's kind of like what I would say to the young people in ministry, is to be on guard for your purity. All of us, to be honest. I mean, I don't care if you're a veteran married for 10. I'll celebrate 10 years in October. Your purity is probably the biggest thing. And that comes down to our first point, unity with God, your devotional life. Go ahead, Kevin.
Can I say one more thing about the friends?
Yeah.
Thing? So, hey, I just want to invite everybody to come. The reason why I love these things and why me, Dylan, and a bunch of other youth pastors started like networking and coming together is because, after COVID, so many of what was once offered to youth has like gone away. There's no acquire the fire things that I grew up with. Like, they just don't happen. And when young people get together and see other young people that are worshiping God, or maybe even from the same area, there's synergy that happens, friendships get made, and people feel, oh my gosh, we go to the same school. Oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. Bible studies get started. All these things happen. Like, we do at times, yes, come together locally, like in our church, but also come together corporately in a bigger sense where we can build one another up. We can build things that are bigger than ourselves. We can learn from each other. So this event is just a little piece of that, but we also have youth pastors, leaders that want to get together and meet and discuss things. How can we change New Hampshire for being last to hopefully someday first, right? But big events like all these things, I feel like are a little piece of that happening that coincide with the big things that they're doing on your local level, right? So we're just partnering with you, kingdom minded, and to give something bigger for kids to do. The only thing I'll say, if you want to come, find out, contact me, because the only information that I need from about a week before is how many kids are coming. Because just like Dylan, like I need to know how much food. The only thing that we're charging for, because I don't have that free thing yet now, but it's just food. That's all that we're charging for. But it's been an awesome event. We'd love to see you guys. And thank you, Dylan. And listen, we'd love to do more events like this. We are doing other things too throughout the year. But if you'd like to join like our network group, please let us know, because again, we'd love to take over New Hampshire for Jesus.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Kevin.
Sorry.
No. If you want to come to the second session, to be honest, seriously, if you want to come in after, you're doing a breakout. Anyway,
I'll end early so I can come for you.
Yeah. So grab one of these on your way out. Lunch is being served. As a leader, you guys can have lunch either with your middle school kids or your high school kids. Just however you want to. Thank you so much for coming.